I want to say first. I want to say good morning to each and every one of you all. I know it's very difficult to get people uh, out to a any kind of activity on a Sunday morning. And I know that there are other things that you could be doing. So I'm going to be of very mindful of your time. So I'm going to pretty much just go through an agenda. I don't know if, and hopefully I sent um, login information to, well, I actually sent out something maybe maybe about a month or so ago. So some people should have been getting emails reminding them, email reminders of the constituency meeting. Also, we sent out email and we sent out a link and we sent out another link and we posted on Facebook. So we hope that some more individuals will join. So as a result, um, we may not have um, enough individuals to establish a quorum. I may have to go back and look at uh, we may have to go back and look at that bylaw, as it says 50% of elected members, and that is a very large. That could be a certain number. Um, so we may need to go back and look at that now that we are, for the most part, meeting virtually. So we may not be able to vote on a couple of actions. So what I might have to do is call a special constituency meeting um, just to for us to vote on the one or two actions. So basically, I'm recording this so that we can put it out so that individuals that were not at the meeting will be able to view and get brought up to speed so that when we do call the special constituency meeting, they are already up to speed and all we have to do is just vote. Really, there were only about two actions that wanted to make a vote on, and one was to accept the report, my report, and the other one was to uh, make some changes to the Constitution and bylaws. I think that um, I don't want to say they're not major, but they're not anything that I should, will fall apart if we don't do that today. So what we'll do is I'll go through the agenda, I'll do the report, and we'll hold off on voting on accepting the report and hold off on voting on the particular changes to the Constitution and bylaws that I'm suggesting. And then what I'll do is I'll disseminate this video so that those that weren't able to join us can view and see exactly what went on and what we talked about. And so then when we do call the special constituency meeting, it'll be specifically to vote on those two actions. And so um, I thank you for your patience. Um, our agenda is going to be pretty simple. Um, well, actually, let me go ahead and just start with prayer, and then we can get into the agenda itself. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us to another beginning of a new week. We thank you for your protection and your provision as we came through this past week. Lord, we ask that you would continue to bless us, bless our alumni, bless their families, bless those that aren't here, those that are here at the meeting, those that weren't able to make the meeting. Bless our business and bless our school, Open Advance Academy, and help us to do our best to move our school forward. These and many others we ask in your name. Amen. All right, so the agenda for the most part is going to be simple. We're going to do a president's report, constitution and bylaw changes. We're going to talk about some future plans, and then I'm going to talk about elections, special elections, and then we'll adjourn. All right, so we're looking at the president's report for, I'm going to start with our acquisition of, we acquired our 501c3 status. One of my priorities when I first took over was to reacquire that. I was talking to, it's very interesting that I had talked to some of the individuals who were part of the original Alumni Association when it first started in 1997, if I'm not mistaken. And I was encouraged to, and at that time they were a 501c3. And then I was encouraged to reacquire that. And so that was one of my goals. I mean, and the plans got put on pause, I would say, the first and second year, but in the third year, I thought that it was important for us to go ahead and get it done. So we applied in January of this year, and we were granted that status, and they retroactively granted it for back to November 2020. And so now we are able to provide tax receipts at the end of the year for any donations and contributions made by individuals ourselves. Before, we gave them some documentation, but it was not a tax receipt because we couldn't do that. So it had an option. I had two options. One that said this was tax deductible. Another one said this wasn't. Oh, I think it had to do with the being a 501c3. So now we can do that. And so that if you or anyone else donates or contributes to the Alumni Association, you will be able to get a tax receipt for your donations and contributions at the end of the year. And also, this allows us to be able to do some things in terms of applying for grants, depending on what it is what we're trying to do. I think in the near future, we're going to look at individuals who will be able to, who can work with us in order to do this, because when we go to places like Coca-Cola or UPS or even Walmart or Sam's, they have these community grants. We have to have, they always want there to be some kind of connection to the community. So we have to, at some point, look at how this grant would benefit both Oakwood Adventist Academy and also the community at large. And so we'll be asking in the near future individuals to help, that solicit the help of individuals that'll help us with that. Being a 501c, of course, there are some things that we are required to do. I think one of the things that is suggested is that we disclose certain financial information on the webpage. That information will most likely include Form 990, recent filing of Form 990, a financial statement, an annual report, and we want to make sure that we are doing everything that we are supposed to be doing as far as that's concerned. So we're working on, or we will be, because we will be looking at, we talked about it, and we will be looking at acquiring some kind of accounting software, some accounting management software to be able to help us with that. We don't want any situation similar to what happened to as Chaplain Peters mentioned yesterday, our child, what happened to our child over the last few years. We don't want that to happen to us. So we're going to be moving forward in that direction, making sure that we have a suitable accounting management software to help us make sure that we have everything in line with that. Moving on to the financial health of the Alumni Association. We have set up, this is basically what our budget structure looks like. And so we have two specific parts of that budget, of course, unrestricted and our restricted. And so what happens is our unrestricted, all right, so I'll just go through. Our unrestricted funds include the general fund. So we basically have 4 funds, all right? We have 4 funds. One is unrestricted, the other 3 are restricted. So the general fund includes President's discretionary fund, which pretty much includes petty cash or provides a fund for the office of president to do certain things. Then we have operational expenses that would fall under the general fund. And that includes, right now, our expenses are fairly low. Website maintenance, supplies, we have a PO box and postage, and what else is on there? The domain, I guess that would be part of the website maintenance, our domain and the website. And then the third part of that general fund would be our activities and programs. And so when we are talking about Alumni Weekend, for example, the funds to pay for Alumni Weekend, in the past, we've looked at, we're talking about programs, we're talking about catering for our alumni luncheon and for our constituency breakfast. We're talking about, sometimes it includes custodial, breakdown setup of the various venues. Sometimes we have to rent some equipment, our alumni awards, our speaker honorariums, and anything else that would fall under Alumni Weekend. Printing, so those would be Alumni Weekend costs that would come out of the unrestricted fund. And then when we talk about things like outreach and, for example, we print up T-shirts or any other kind of swag or merchandise, the money would come out of this particular fund. On this side, we have what we call our restricted funds. All right, the restricted funds include the scholarship fund, the athletic club fund, and what we call the OAA Finish Line Fund. All right, under the scholarship fund, that includes registration assistance. It also includes partial or full scholarships. The athletic club fund would include monies that would go specifically to the athletic department. And the OAA Finish Line Fund would include funds that would go to things related to specifically to Open Events Academy in terms of if there were technology needs, equipment needs, or furniture needs, or anything like that. If they had a need. So when individuals are donating, there is an option. All right, so and maybe I'll just make sure this is clear. So this is being videotaped. When individuals donate, they have, and if they do it electronically, and if they go to the website, oaaalumni.org, and click on giving, when they decide on that giving page, they do have the option of choosing which particular fund they want their funds to go towards. They can choose general fund, scholarship fund, athletic club, or OAA Finish Line Fund. So if you donate and you choose scholarship, you want your funds to go to scholarship, your funds go to scholarship. They can't go to anything else. Of course, we understand that whole idea of restricted funds. So if you choose, you want your monies to go towards the athletic department, then you choose this, then your monies will go towards the athletic club. Or if you want your monies to go, for example, if the school needed a piece of equipment, a machine that they could make, for example, the old documents or old yearbooks and put them in digital form and store them on the internet. If we were trying to raise money for that and you wanted your monies to go towards that particular piece of equipment or that technology, then you would choose OAA Finish Line Fund, and those monies could only go to that particular item. Now, if we receive, and you can also choose general fund, and periodically, the Alumni Association, the board of directors will get together and, for example, if there's no money in these funds, then the board will vote to move money from the general fund over to these funds. For example, if we have a certain amount of money in the scholarship fund and we have used those monies, say for instance, there's $3,000 in the scholarship fund and we've used the entire $3,000, then what the board can do is we could vote to move some funds from the general fund over to the scholarship fund if there are some needs, or to any of the funds if there were some particular needs that we wanted to fulfill. So if an individual does not designate, so if you designate one of these, one of these three over here on the restricted side, your monies will go to whatever one you designated them for. If you provide some money, or if you donate some money and you do not designate, then that money automatically will go into the general fund. So if one of you all decide you want to donate $10,000 and you don't choose one of the specific funds, the monies will automatically go into the general fund. But if you choose one of these, or if you split them, you split that money into all of the three of these here, then those monies will only go into those particular funds which you designated them. All right, so we want to be very, 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 very clear. So that's on the digital side. On the website, you're able to do that. You're able to choose one of the funds. So if you decide that you just want to send us a check, then it would be very, you would need to make sure that on the check or in whatever correspondence that accompanies the check, that you designate where you want your money to go, whether you want it to go to the general fund or whether you want it to go specifically to a scholarship fund, the athletic department, or to the OAA Finish Line Fund. All right. Does anybody have any questions about the budget? All right. So I shall continue. All right.
Dr. Patterson?
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. Yesterday was beautiful, fantastic. The program presented to the church and those who are watching online. One question I have is, do you have the amount, the ledger of how much is in each one of your funds presently?
The
balances?
I don't, well, I have okay, let me go back. I do have the balance right now for this fund. To this point, we did have a balance here, but we used that up recently. And,
okay.
And yeah, so we haven't had any donations specifically to these funds here, but I do have a balance for this one. So I think as of maybe a month ago, we did have a balance for the scholarship fund, and we used that up. But we do have a balance for this fund. So we're going to be encouraging people to designate their monies to these funds. So for the time being, if there is a need on this side for anything, then the board will then have to vote to move money over to this side.
Okay, and Oakwood Adventist Academy, we appreciate the donations that were made as far as the scholarships are concerned, and our parents are quite appreciative of it.
Yes, ma'am. We're here to bless, as we were told.
Dr. Patterson, this is Carla Thrower. I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
Are you saying that it's best to give to the unrestricted and then it would be determined where the support would go to restricted areas?
Well, that's a good question. It really boils down to where is it you want your money to go? So if you want your money to go somewhere specific, then by all means, I would say designate it to something specific. But if not, you could just you could just make your donation, and at whatever point we have that need, we will vote to move the money over. But ideally, I would like for people to designate their monies to specific areas. It would make it a lot more, I guess, simpler for us.
Okay, that makes sense. And then a quick question then for Principal Dent. Hi. um, on,
Hi.
on your side, what is your greatest need right now? So if I am garnering, support, where would you like for people to designate their monies?
Right now, scholarships.
Okay. Okay. Good deal.
Yeah, our parents our parents in enrolling thus far, they've given a whole lot just to get the children in. But I know as we move forward in the months to come, then that's when our parents begin to fall off.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right. Move this in. Okay, so let's keep it. So as far as our expenses are concerned, we really haven't had a lot of expenses, and I'll just be honest with you. We really haven't had a lot of expenses, especially during the period that we've been under COVID, especially from 2019 up until this point. So our monthly expenses, and I hope I have this correctly, our monthly expenses are basically $25 a month. And that is, we have a StreamYard subscription that we use to be able to stream things such as our honors program, our Vesper program, and that we'll be able to do some other things because like everyone else, we realized that we had to pivot into the virtual space. And so we needed to be able to do that. Our annual expenses include our $50, and that includes that's for our PO box on the Oakwood University campus, and that's every year. And so then the other annual expense involves our website and our domain, which is $75. So whoa, let me go back here. So I thought I had the number here. So our total expenses in terms of both annual and monthly are $425 a year, all right, for right now. So that's good. Yes, everything's tax deductible. So our expenses basically are $425 a year. Our StreamYard subscription, our PO box, and our website and domain. That's the only thing that we've had to do right now up to this point. Our donations from September 2020 to September 21, we have, as far as monthly donations, we've had $300. And we're going to be working on this. And the interesting part about this is that we have one individual that sends a certain amount of money. It sends $25, I guess I can say it. We have one person that sends $25 on a regular basis. It comes automatically out of this individual's bank. The bank sends a check every single month. So every month about the 4th, I know there's a check in the mailbox. As far as one time, and so we're going to be working on, that's one of the things for 2021. That's one of the things that we're going to be 2021 to 2022. We're going to be focusing, the emphasis is going to be on fundraising. Got to do that. We've been talking about it, but I've been being pressed that that's going to be one of the primary activities for this particular year. Our one-time donations, which is interesting, our one-time donations have totaled $12,020. And the interesting thing about that is the $12,000, it's a nice amount. But it's been, for the most part, one or two or three individuals, two to three large donors. And so we want to, and we're very appreciative of that. And what we want to do this next year is include more of the other monthly donors. So every now, for example, we received a donation last month from an alum. And at first I thought that, in all transparency, I thought that he had maybe hit one too many zeros. And that always concerns me because sometimes you can hit, and I said, well, maybe this person only meant, $10 or $100. And so I was very surprised. And then when I talked to I actually, communicated with the alum, and it was I would say a younger alum. I was very surprised about that, but we were very, appreciative of that. So we're going to be working on that. So as far as our contributions from the Alumni Association, last year, we, along with the class of '92, we did a joint venture. We raised $1,200. We purchased a scores table for the athletic department. That was $3,000, and I think that was spring, if not mistaken, either fall, I think it's spring of 21. But anyway, we purchased a scores table. This past year, we have dispersed about $2,400 in registration assistance scholarships, and that was just in the time period between August and September. And we haven't divvied our alumni expenses, or expenses for alumni weekend, and they aren't that many. I think we haven't received all the invoices yet, so that really shouldn't be about any more than $600 or $700 at the most. So in total, excluding the alumni weekend expenses, we have dispersed from September 2020 to September 2021, we have dispersed about $6,600. And as far as cash on hand, we have $18,747.24. Now, of course, the way that I have this on the screen is, not the normal way that you would see it. But that's one of the things that we're going to be working on in this new term. We want everything to be on point, and we want everything to look a certain way and look more accounting-ish, if I know that's not a word, but we're going to be working on that. So don't worry, our financial reports in the future will not look like this, but they'll be more in line with what people are familiar with. And so we're going to be working on that. Does anybody have any questions about our expenses or contributions or disbursements? Okay. Guess I can move on. All right. So we've come down to, and like I said, we're not going to make our quorum. So we're not going, so I would have made a motion to accept the president's report, but since we don't have a quorum, we will hold off on that until we have a special constituency meeting. So once we're done with this meeting, it's videotaped, we'll send it out, let our constituents look at it. We'll set a time for them to come, and then at that particular moment, after they view the video, at that particular moment, at that particular time, we will then come and vote on these two particular items, the president's report and the Constitution and bylaws, changes to the Constitution and bylaws. And so basically, I'm just going to share about three or four changes that we're making, and they're not major changes. And so here we have on this side, we have our original in terms of it relates, section 3.03 has to do with the alumni reps. And the only thing that we're changing is that, well, we're actually changing the term. And so here it says that they are to be appointed for a 2-year term limit. And so we've just changed it from a 2-year term limit to a 3-year term limit, just like the elected officers. So that's basically the only change for that particular one. We want to add bylaw 4.05, we're adding one. And so here we're making the change to give the alumni reps a vote. And so and the reason for that is in the past, sometimes we've had more alumni reps at the meeting than elected officers. And sometimes we weren't able to move some of the business because we didn't have the quorum. But now, if by giving the alumni reps a vote, then we will be able to conduct business no matter what number of officers or alumni reps are in attendance. Bylaw 6.01, it says that the association election are held at the annual Labor Day weekend constituency meeting. So it says, the original bylaw says that we conduct the elections during the constituency meeting during alumni weekend in the second year of each term of office. So we want to make a change to that. And so what we want to do is we want to be stating that we're going to hold the elections electronically the month prior to our annual constituency meeting. So instead of holding elections at the constituency meeting, we want to make sure that we want to hold our elections electronically the month before we have our constituency meeting. And that's the only change there. And then this is the last change. At one point, we had these grand plans. You know how life changes. I had these grand plans of, we're going to start these regional chapters, and I was going to, do this thing called the Alumni Association on the Road, and I was going to go to different parts of the country and talk. And then the reality hit, COVID hit, and that is not really wise on my part. So what we decided, we talked about it, and we decided that it would be a lot easier if, and one of the things that we wanted to do was to start organizing official chapters. And we believe that the best way to do that would be, since these individuals are already organized and they're already working together, that we organize our chapters by graduating class rather than regions. And I think that would be a lot easier with classes working together versus individuals in different regions. Does anybody have any questions about the proposed changes to the Constitution and bylaws? All right, so all right, so we only have two more items on the agenda. One is to talk about future plans, and then the last one is to talk about special elections, and then I'll open up for any questions one might have. As this particular slide says, one of the goals for 2021, 2022, one of the primary goals will be fundraising. I'm going to be leading, and hopefully the entire team will be working on fundraising plans, because as we were just told, the greatest need for the school right now are scholarships. And so one of the things I would like to see the Alumni Association do, we started small, and we started by assisting. And so our original plan was to assist 10 families register for the 2021-22 school year. And so we split that number into 5. And so we said, all right, if we want to help 5 families, if 5 families are trying to register early or do pre-registration, we want to help those. Early registration, we want to help those. And then we set aside 5 to help families, because we know a lot of people register much closer to the actual beginning of school. And so we were able to disperse the funds for the first 5 families. And then there were, we had funds for the other 5 families, but then there were a need for, I think there was another 2 families that had needs. So we increased our scholarship for those 2 families. So we actually assisted 12 families, or 12 students, instead of just the 10. And it was, it was to interact with, because we had of course we had a application process, and we had a team to go over the applications and we of course had to confer with the business manager to make sure that the families in fact that were requesting were families that actually had needs. And it was just a blessing to be able, to receive the email correspondence back from the parents, expressing their gratefulness for the scholarship assistance, the registration, because a lot of times, getting your kids into school can be a large task. And so we would like to, in the future, scale higher. We were able to help with almost half of the registration. And so I think in the future, we would like to assist families with we would like to bless families with the entire registration. And then as we move forward, we would like to, at some point, maybe help a family or 2 with half of tuition for the year. And then moving forward, at some point, be able to help 1 or 2 families with full tuition. And so we start where we can. We started with the scholarship assistance, with giving partial, assisting them to register. We want to move to maybe blessing families with the entire registration. We want to then move to possibly helping families with half of the tuition for the year. And then finally, at some point, when we're able to assist families with the entire tuition. All right, so we have a question in the chat. What's the registration cost? What's the yearly cost? Well, the registration cost is typically, it has been $500 for early and $700 for regular, but this year it was $500 for both early and regular. So it could range between $500 and $700. What is the yearly cost of tuition? Mrs. Dent, would you happen to have an estimate on the top of your?
Yeah, for the lower grades, it's usually, and I will say it as per grade level, K-6, middle school and high school, it's approximately about $6,000 a year, and high school is closer to $7,000.
Thank you. So that's basically the direction that we want to go in. Of course, we're going to continue doing the other things. And of course, the Alumni Association can continue supporting the school in whatever way we can, whether that's with the athletic department, if that's with, some other things like with our Finish Line Fund, if they have any needs, we will continue to do so. But what we wanted, like the principal said, we want to focus as much of our attention on scholarships. Go ahead, Robin.
Chaplain Peters had one more question that we did not address. I didn't hear it addressed. The maximum number of students that we can hold.
And I think that will go back to Mrs. Dent.
When we talk about the maximum number of students we can hold, it's used, and I will say this, per building or per class. Presently, as you all know, as I mentioned yesterday, due to COVID, we could only have at least 15 to 18 children per classroom. And that is according to the classroom size. And we have 3 separate buildings. And so we wanted the capacity to be up to 350, but that is, when I say 350, that we could possibly hold 350 from K to 12, but we also still have to limit the number of students per classroom based on the classroom sizes, be it COVID or not COVID. And we had in the past discussed up to 350 students, but that's where we are right now. And because of the 3 feet apart social distancing, we had to limit our classroom sizes this year, and that's why 225, and even we're challenged with that, with 225, when we have 30 children in 11th grade, 31 actually, and in the coming weeks, we're going to have to split those 2 classes, that class, between 2 staff members in order to limit the number of children per classroom. So we're not, right now, we've been blessed with the 225, and certain classrooms, we can enroll additional students, but we have about 3 or 4 classrooms now that are just closed. We can't take 1 more child.
Well, Mrs. Dent, what would be the, I don't know if this is, what would be the average salary for, if you were to bring on an additional instructor, what would be kind of the average salary?
We sent that to our board members who asked that question, and the average salary is based on from their certification and their degree would be between 35,000 to 45, but that does not include benefits.
Okay.
And that is, and here's the thing is, even if we brought in an additional staff member, in the high school, we do not have a classroom for an additional staff member. In the middle school, we have 1 additional classroom space. And in the elementary school, we have, in the elementary school, we have 2 additional classroom spaces. In the middle school, we have no additional classroom space.
Okay. I was just thinking, it would be nice to be able to raise money for a salary or 2, but that's something we get.
Yeah, that's, praise the Lord. If
Yeah.
where it's locally funded, and we certainly will be able to utilize that. And also based on what we talked about yesterday, or we heard in our sermon yesterday.
Yeah.
We need an industrial arts teacher. We've been working on with past Elder Frazier, who wants to bring carpentry to our students. We don't have a space for, and he's willing and able to do that, to teach our children skills, even if we had bring back our sewing class that we had years ago, but we don't have space. And if we had portables, here we go with more portables on the bill. But whatever we do, it has to be sustainable. It can't be we want to do it this year and then next year we don't have funds to do it, because we are tuition driven. We have not done what the Lord asked us to do years and years ago with the industrial arts and teaching children trades and all of that. We haven't done it. We messed up. But now we're at a place where we have to wanting to hire individuals to bring that back, to be able to assist parents with their tuition, because our churches are overburdened with their own churches and building funds, and wanting to support our children. But whatever we decide or whatever we raise, it needs to be something that is sustainable over the years.
All right. I'm writing that down, sustainable. Yes. All right. I guess, Robin, you're monitoring the chat. You see anything else?
Yes, sir. We have another few questions from Chaplain Robert Peters. He asks if 2.5 million would be enough to cover pay and benefits and needs to run the school. Current needs, not the industrial needs that we like to bring back eventually.
You know, I wish I had that number for the Colonel. But that sounds, I don't have that overall number, but I certainly can get that information and send it to Dr. Patterson, what it would cost for the year, our budget as far as our staffing and what we need per year. Is that what he's asking?
That sounds about right. I think that would answer his question.
Okay, yeah, I can get that to Dr. Patterson. We can get that to the chaplain. And I don't want to get excited about the idea because sending that information, and I don't want to not hear about it anymore after this. So that would be a blessing for real. And I want you to know that our conference, South Central Conference, has been a blessing to our schools in the last 4 months, from last year and this year, where they have covered for August and September the full-time salaries of our staff because of God blessing the conference with funds. Folk were consistently giving, and that has helped us stay afloat even during this time. So that was a blessing. And if you talk about bringing in funds for an entire year and to be able to support children who need to be in our school and parents can't afford it, that would be truly a God-driven initiative for us to move forward with.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Mrs. Dent. So in my mind, when we talk about fundraising, one of the things that I think we're going to be more purposeful, and this whole experience, especially with the Alumni Association, it's been a learning process. You know, I'm learning people and ways to do things and how to do things and so one of the things that we would like to do, and when we talk about fundraising, one of the things that I would like to see us happen, and we've been talking about this, but we're going to really focus on it this next term, has to do with our monthly giving, alumni monthly giving. What we don't want to do per se is always have to come to the alumni to ask for money every time there is a major need, every time we're a major scholarship drive, or there's some equipment that the school needs, or something, some initiative, and we need to. What we don't want to do is, now we're not going to discourage people from giving at different parts, at different points, different times. What we want to do is get people into the practice of giving on a monthly basis, so that we're not asking for money. Like I said, we're not asking for money every couple of months for something, that we have money that comes in on a regular basis. And it doesn't have to be, and we've talked about this as a team, we've talked about this, it could be as little as $5, you know, somebody giving $5 a month, or $10 a month, or $20 a month, as long as it's consistent and it's the word sustainable. I hear that word. It's sustainable, consistent. And so that's what we're going to be doing, because when we look at the number of alumni that we have out there, we don't have, in terms of individuals that are giving, and individuals give and individuals don't give for various reasons. And so one of the things that I think one of the things that will help and has helped is when people are seeing the progress at the school, and we've seen and we've been seeing, and I think, you know, over the years, you know, like I said, I guess I date myself. They were talking about, I remember when I was in the second, I went to Oakwood Advanced Academy Elementary in the second grade before my parents put me in public school. And I remember we had class in Oakwood Church in one of the Sabbath school rooms. I remember going down there during the week, and then the room transformed from a classroom to a Sabbath school room. And I remember then people were talking about, because I think there were several of us, we were between the Oakwood Church and the Anna Knight building and the Academy building. And they were talking about school even then. I go to public school, I come back to the Academy. They were talking about a new school then. And then little by little, things started to happen. But now we've seen the most progress in the last few years. We've seen a lot of progress. I mean, we have a campus, we're not talking about just a building, we have a campus. And so I think nothing would, something that the things that would help us in terms of fundraising would probably be letting our alumni see the progress. And we even talked to some alumni yesterday, and when alumni, and this is interesting, alumni, when we have these alumni weekends, especially ones that may not have been have not been as engaged, and they said we need to come back. And so that will be one of the things. And I pray that at some point, this, COVID lets up and we could get back. I don't think we'll get back to normal, but to some sense of normalcy, so people can actually come back and visit the campus and see the progress. And at the same time, we could also keep them informed and, keep the progress in front of them so they can see this. And so that will help. And we wouldn't have to beg individuals to give money. They see the progress. They see that people are putting their money where their mouths are, and they see it happening. They'll donate. So part of our effort as far as fundraising will be to get individuals just to give monthly. So we have money coming in on a continuous basis.
Dr. Patterson, it would be great also when we have our board meetings and I have presented our principal's report of what's happening at Oakwood, taking a look at what we are doing. That could be some aspects of that
Yes.
you could possibly send to your alumni to let them know what we're doing. We have picture in review. We always let them know what's new taking place at the school. So the alumni will be up on what's taking place at Oakwood Adventist Academy.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely. Always have these crazy ideas, and I think they're crazy. But one of the things that Oakwood Adventist Academy does not have a home. They do have, let me change that. Oakwood Adventist Academy does have a home. The Oakwood Academy Alumni Association, the Oakwood Adventist Academy Alumni Association doesn't have a home. Let's just make that clear. And so there is a need. And so we're going to be talking about trying to do several things at once. Now, this is just an idea, a brainstorm. There's no plans have been put in motion. This is just an idea. So when we have changes in administrations, what generally happens is the previous administration passes on stuff to the next administration. And then at some point, this administration will pass on stuff to the next administration. So when I took over in 2019, I received a lot of stuff from the previous president. I received boxes and popcorn and plastic gloves and napkins, all kinds of things. So part of my garage has been a de facto Oakwood Adventist Academy Alumni Association office. So I bought a shelving system to organize all the stuff. And then the school was so generous enough to call me and ask me about some yearbooks that they had found, and I asked them just to give me one or two of each because there were so many of them. And so now I have a box of old yearbooks, previous yearbooks, also on my shelf. And so we have bins of t-shirts, and we don't have anywhere to house this information. So an idea that I came up with now of course, there has to be some, research done in terms of all the logistics and those kinds of things. I envision us purchasing, not this particular one per se, but at some point, once we've done our research and looked into it, I envision us purchasing some kind of portable, some nice portable building that could serve as the home for the Alumni Association. And it doesn't have to look like this per se. It could be something that could be brick. I don't know. It's just an idea, so that we have meeting space if we're able to meet again. So we have a place for our alumni to stop by if they're on the campus, for us to be able to store our alumni materials and those kind of things. And this is not something that's going to happen immediately. This is just something in the near future. I mean, we do need, somewhere to be able to conduct our businesses. We've been doing it from our homes, from our garages, on the run. So this is just an idea of what could be in the future. I'm not going to say the near future. I'll just say the future itself, because we have to look at what it would cost to purchase a building, to install it, the maintenance on it, the utilities, how that would work. If we were able to put it on the Oakwood Advanced Academy grounds, what would all be entailed in that and involved. Would there be any other costs that we would have to take on because of it? Is there any insurance issues related to the conference? These are all things that we have to research. So this is not something like I'm doing tomorrow or next year. This is something long-term. This is kind of a long-term idea, because I think we do need a place, a separate space. We could say away from the campus, but I said that would make sense to be away from our school. So that's something kind of we want to kind of think about we want us to kind of look at and think about in the future, in the future, not the near future, but in the future. We do need a home.
Dr. Patterson,
Yes,
I can
ma'am.
at least relieve you of your yearbooks from your garage. Because in our library, because we're going really electronically with our libraries, and we're also I have a closet of at least 10 yearbooks of each grade. I mean, each year that I have found when we moved from the old building to the new building. So I've organized those according to the years. So if you have some that are in your garage, bring them over to the school in the elementary building in our library, and we can store them according to the years. I already have 10, at least 10 of each year that I have found. And some, the older ones from back in the 60s, I may only have a couple of them, but I want to just relieve your mind of the yearbook. So you can bring them and store them in our library. But I like the idea when you said the alumni office should be on the campus and not away from the campus, because the purpose is for the alumni to be able to fully interact when it's possible with being there at the schoolhouse. So I do have a closet for your yearbook. So
Thank you, ma'am. Because my wife told me if I brought one more stuff to the house. So that's just an idea. So, all right. So before we get to the special elections, one of the things, Mrs. Dent, some alumni talked yesterday, and I kind of was thinking of this along the same lines, and I hadn't verbalized it, but then they verbalized it at our Morse program. I said, we want to talk about, well, not talk about, but in the future, we would like to, there are alumni who would like to participate, engage, I'll say engage, would like to engage with the Academy via something called like a youth motivational task force. one of the younger alumni came to me about a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about how the younger generations wanted to engage with Oakwood Advanced Academy. And so one of the things that we wanted to do, and so the idea came up with some of our alumni. I think one of our alumni is on the call now. Let me look at my screen. Fred Parker. They're interested in, there are some alumni that are interested in engaging with the students and talk about different professions. Fred, do you want to kind of mention what you all talked about yesterday?
Sure. Brian and I, he talked about engineering, and I wanted to join with him, maybe to talk about different careers in the health fields, and to demonstrate to the young people that there are wonderful opportunities that awaits them if they're exposed to them, and be able to look at them and to see whether or not it's a fit for them. And we would like to join the principal, the administration in developing something that all of us who have been in the workforce for years to present some opportunities to the young people.
I certainly agree with that. I remember when I was superintendent of Allegheny East and at Pine Forge, every year the alumni would come and it'd be a career fest. It was just wonderful for the young people there. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But what I did notice with Pine Forge, it was consistent every year. Oftentimes when we have programs in our church, we do it one time and it was great, and we kind of fall by the wayside. But if we started at Oakwood Adventist Academy, however we do it virtually now, or however we present it, that career, the individual, they met in pods, they talked with the individuals, the children moved from one group to another. And it was just so advantageous. I even have right now someone wanting to engage our children, and our superintendent is good at wanting to engage our children in the aviation program. We have a former Oakwood graduate who is starting an aviation program that deals with STEM, of course. But when we look at that tuition of $4,000, we place it in our newsletter, but it's quite expensive for our children who are parents are trying to pay tuition and pay for that. But I do understand, Mr. Fred, if you get that started and get that organization and possibly partner with our sister school to see how they put that all together, that would be a wonderful thing that we do, and we do it yearly.
So go ahead, Fred.
I was going to say that Brian and I would love to be a part of the planning process. And I believe Judith's correct that if we start something, or when we start something, that it's long-term. It's not short-lived.
And I think and this is just an idea. We could possibly make it one of we talk about being consistent. It could possibly be something that we include in our alumni weekend activities. I don't know, for example, it could be something that is done, our alumni weekends generally start on Friday in the evening around Vespers, but this could be something that we do. I don't know if a chapel service could be devoted to it, but this could be something that would be part of the official alumni weekend activities. It would involve alumni possibly coming back and actually coming to the campus if they're able, or even doing it virtually, but we're doing it at a time during, on that Friday. And these are just, we're just throwing out ideas here on Friday of Academy Alumni Weekend, and that could be something that plant roots there in terms of starting a program that's consistent it could go along with our alumni.
And that would be great, but we want to make sure as you plan, Fred, as you plan it, that we plan it at a time where we know our children are available. I would prefer something like that during the school week where children, and I've seen that they rotate, and it's a requirement, all of the students, 9 through 12, they rotate from one session to another, be it in the morning hours or in the afternoon hours, not on a weekend, because I can't require anything from children over the weekend. So if we could put that together, if the alumni could put it together, bring your proposal to us so we can see how it would fit in our program during school hours, that we can capture all of our students, because we want them all immersed in, even if they're undecided as to what they want, but one of you may be able to prick their interest to start that. And it would be great if you could have it working toward the springtime, this coming spring, that we can start looking forward to that, because children are making decisions of where they're going to college, what they're going to major in. We're even starting with the University of Children, their sophomore, junior class coming in and dialoguing with our young people. So Dr. Patterson, when we talk about weekends, I would prefer it be during the week so I can help to make sure it's successful, or whoever's in my position moving forward, that is a part of the everyday program during the school hours, so we can capture that with our students.
So would you say maybe a Thursday would be better than a Friday?
Yes, Jesus.
Okay, so we can.
But Friday wouldn't be bad. Friday wouldn't be bad. We can do it on a Friday, a Thursday, or Friday.
Okay.
But when you mentioned Friday, yes, I'm thinking Friday Friday during the school day.
Right.
That would be a fantastic opportunity. And you can have 4 or 5 pods, and we can move children from 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, but they all have to immerse themselves in one of the presentations that are presented during that time. So Mr. Parker, you all just work on it, and I'll work with, I will work to make it happen, I should say. Not I'll work with you, I'll work to make it happen. Don't put me on another planning committee.
I would agree that it should start, let me rephrase that. I would agree that we should include 9th, 10th, and 11th, and not only seniors.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, that's that. Okay, we, us, they, them. We're gonna get something together. We're gonna get something together. I think the last thing on the agenda, because like I said, all right, look at my time here. I didn't think we were gonna be on this long, but it's all good. I need to get some rest during this Labor Day weekend. I have labored. Special elections. All right, so let me lay the foundation for this. Typically, we have our election. We hold our elections the second year. So now our terms of service are 3 years, and generally we have our elections during the second year, so that it gives the incoming administration time to get acclimated to the activities, and we work them in. But we had COVID hit, and priorities kind of changed. So we didn't hold our elections in the second year as we had planned, and we pushed it to the third year, which was this year. And so we were supposed to hold elections some time ago, but we hadn't been able to. And so one of the reasons, I guess in full transparency, we've had over the last year, we've had individuals to resign or to just stop participating even without notification. And we had one individual, we had one officer moved out of town and we didn't even know him, that the officer had moved out of town and never said anything, never. So we had a few holes in terms of offices to fill. And so we had asked some individuals to come in. We appointed some individuals to come in and to help us over this past year. And so we did put out some election notices and we tried to solicit individuals to, volunteer to serve in the Alumni Association, both mainly as elected officers, and as alumni reps. And we did not have a very good response. And so we have been, trying as best we could to, find individuals who were willing or who are willing to serve the Alumni Association. And I know and at the same time, we've had a lot of, all of us individually have a lot of things going on, and we've had our attention pulled, and we've been pulled in so many different directions. I just didn't feel comfortable just putting out any ballot with that we're missing offices, or just not making sure that I've dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's. So we kind of held off on the elections. Now, typically at 12 o'clock, the new administration or the continuing or new or whoever, they take over. But this year is not going to happen. But I'm going to be calling for a special election, because we've had, like I said, there's a lot going on. We're talking about this COVID and different things, like there's a lot going on. And, people's engagement level has changed, people's commitment level has changed. And so we're kind of dealing with all of that. So my proposal is to hold a special election in 2 weeks. All right, I didn't want to draw it out. I just wanted, now that some things are, Alumni Weekend is over and we're able to focus more on this. I'm proposing that from 12 o'clock today, the 5th of September, to 12 o'clock September 12th, that the team will be actively recruiting soliciting individuals to serve for the next term. And so I wanted to make sure that we had those individuals that weren't returning, that we were able to find individuals to serve in their places, and those individuals that are planning to return. So we need that time for that particular week, from the 5th of September to the 12th of September. We will make sure that we have our slate of officers to be elected. And then at 12 o'clock on September 12th until 12 o'clock on September 19th, we will have our virtual elections, and we will send our full slate via virtual ballots out to our constituents. And at 12 o'clock p.m., that the new team or returning officers will take over. I just wanted to make sure that everything was done right. I just didn't want to throw anything out there just because we were running up on a deadline. And so I think this is probably the more prudent choice, to make sure that, since now we have we have our full attention, we could spend our full attention to this, to make sure that we have a full slate of officers or potential officers. And then that next week we run the virtual elections, and then in 2 weeks, that particular, whether it's us or some changes or some new individuals included with some of the old officers, that we take over in 2 weeks and continue the business of the Alumni Association. Does anybody have any questions about this idea, or this proposal? Because if we didn't, go ahead, man.
I was just saying, I think it's a great proposal as long as you're still running the ship until we do whatever needs to be done. Because when we make changes in the midst of turmoil like this, it creates an interesting dynamic when the relationship with the Alumni Association, with the school, when we've been working steadily and moving, even with a fragmented team, it's made some sense. So when we start disrupting it, I think your plan works, even with the special election. So that's just my comment.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm planning on staying on. I'm planning on staying on board unless somebody else wants to do it. But I plan on. My whole thing was I wanted to make sure I finished the job because there's certain things that I want to do. I want to see them through. I think the first thing was I want to see the nonprofit. I want to see the 501c3. That's what I want to see through. And so now I want to see this increase in the increase in giving and our increase in scholarship formation. I want to see that through. So I will be, as Chap says, I'll do my best to continue the vision from this position. Trying to think if there's anything else. All right, I think I have come to the end of what I had planned. Does anybody have any questions about anything that you want to ask before we adjourn for the year?
I want to clarify with Mrs. Hicks. Her class that donated the money for the lockers. Is it 74, 75, or I missed it altogether? Mrs. Hicks?
Yes, it is class of 74.
Okay, I was close to it. I said 74, 75. So I wanted to give you all the credit.
Thank you. They would greatly appreciate that.
For blessing us. Thanks.
Most definitely. And that's one of the reasons, I think, that's one of the reasons why we're proposing that we organize our chapters. We organize our chapters via classes instead of regions, because the classes seem to be able to operate more efficiently than an entire region would, and it makes it a lot easier, being able to jump in and meet with various classes and seeing what they're in them and having them inquire as to what the school needs and what they can do. Because I think I met with the class of 74 a few months back, and they are interested in doing some other things with the Alumni Association on behalf of the school. So we're going to be looking at working with various classes in that way. Looking at the chat. All right, class of 74. All right, so I just want to thank you all for taking. I know it's
Let me interrupt you a minute.
Go ahead.
Most of us graduated from Oakwood College in 74. My mistake. That was a class of 70. We graduated from the academy in 1970.
All right, I was way off. So you messed me up, Marcia. You the one told me.
And when he
74.
said 74, 75 yesterday, I was fussing that, the class is going to be upset because it's 74, not 75. And then I just now realized, no, that was college. Academy was class of 70. Anyway, they're still willing to work. They're ready and willing to work. So
okay.
We'll be working.
And I had a big argument with someone yesterday, Mrs. Hicks, and they said, Mrs. Dent, you're not older than Marcia Hicks. I said, I am. She graduated after I did in high school. So I just want you to know, I just want to clear things up.
It's clear.
Yeah, it was Robin. Robin was fussing with me yesterday. Are you sure? I said, I'm older than she is. Okay.
But I want to thank you all for taking time out of your Sunday to kind of hear, you know, what the Alumni Association has been doing and to kind of get a peek at its vision and the direction that you know, we see ourselves going in. And one of the things that I guess we want to try to do with, especially with our alumni, is to get them vested in the vision. You know, some people may not have kids in the academy, or their kids may have graduated and that kind of thing. Some people may not have been back in a while, but we want them to catch the vision, to see the vision and continue the vision. So we ask you all to keep the Alumni Association in your prayers. It's a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot of work. You know, from the outside, it didn't seem like it, but then when I got on the inside, you know, I'll be transparent. I devote a lot of time to, my wife will tell you, I'm up late at night on my computer in the bed, typing out stuff, you know, writing down ideas that I'm having about the Alumni Association. I don't know what it is. I've just so fallen more in love with my school. I mean, I've always loved my school, but I love it even more so. You know, I love it even more so now. You know, now my kids are there, and they'll be moving up. They'll be the only ones out of our family that have attended Academy for all 12 years. You know, I did 5, and my brother did 8, and I think my sister did 5 also. But they'll be the first in our family to do all 12 years. Okay, so they'll get that cord that I didn't get when I graduated. They'll get one of those cords. But I'm fiercely defensive. I mean, I'm fiercely defensive of our school. You know, sometimes I have to catch myself sometimes, like I get an attitude with people, you know, who have taken their kids out and put their kids in a more expensive school around the corner. And, you know, I feel and I have to pray about that. I feel some kind of way about that. I mean, I understand people make choices for their families, but I'm just like, man, I love this school, and I'm going to do everything I can. You know, I'm going to do everything I can to help ensure that it continues to succeed, and it continues the vision. It continues the vision.
Amen. Amen.
So having said that, it is 11:38, and if we could just repeat the mitzvah, then we'll be adjourned for the 2021 constituency meeting.
May the Lord
Watch between
watch between me and thee
While we're
while we're absent one from another.
from another.
Amen.
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 Have a great weekend, Labor Day. Enjoy yourself, rest, and have a great weekend. We'll see you all again.